Welcome into the Ohio State Football Report. We are in a like battle this month against the Alabama Football Report, and it is not off to a very good start. But it's early, and we can close this gap in a single video. So if you like the stuff we do, like the Ohio State football team, and you want more videos, like the video for me right now. Let's move to Ryan Day. He addressed the media following Monday's practice and had several updates, including some on the spring scrimmage, but a lot of good insight into where things sit with a lot of the topics that we all care about. Let's begin with the biggest. It's the quarterback battle. Obviously, with where things sit there, it very much appears to be a two-man race for OSU between Julian Sayin and Lincoln Kienholz as well. Here's what Ryan Day had to say. I think it's fair to say that Tavien St. Clair has probably the longest way to go just because of the lack of experience. The talent, his ability to run, his athleticism, he has all those things. He just needs to play more. He needs to see it more. The game's just moving really fast for him right now. But he's picking it up. He's getting it every day. So I'd probably say he has the furthest to go. And then Lincoln and Julian are pretty much neck and neck right now. I think it's pretty clear that the reality is St. Clair is not in the mix to be the starter for the 2025 season. That's not a surprise. That's probably not even a bad thing. No, he's young. He's a true freshman. It'd have been great, but he's a QB. These guys need time. They have to develop. The real battle then between Kienholz and between Sayin is not over yet, and that will take time. It's not going to be an instant thing. I don't think this gets wrapped up until deeper into fall camp. It's will not be over by the spring game, although that will matter. I'll still bet on Julian Sayin to showcase what he's able to do. To show I am that guy, to show what he's able to do and that he can be the starting QB. But those odds, if you were to look at where it was pre-spring and where it sits right now amid a lot of reporting that from some of the open practices that Kienholz has looked better, maybe that's dropping a little bit. And I think this is going to be a true battle in the end. So we've asked you a lot who wins the job. How about this? When will Ryan Day name the starting QB? It is the pinned comment on today's show. The ad comes here on YouTube. It's fine. Take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Next up, the quarterbacks were indeed live for this. They were by live we mean able to be touched, able to be bumped into, not like full on tackled in all cases, but it was not, tap them on the shoulder at most or you just run away from them. That's new for Ryan Day. This is not something he's done before, and I don't hate it, actually. Especially with so many new pieces on offense in general. This is a true competition. And one of the biggest things that separate good from great or even bad from good is how you handle pressure, how you handle getting hit and getting bumped around and getting knocked into and all those things. You have to be able to handle pressure. It is not easy, but easier to handle life as a quarterback when it's a clean pocket. You can hit your first read or go to your second read. But when the bullets start flying and there's pressure in your face, there's pressure off the left side, off the right side, and you got to step up and manage the pocket, how you handle that is the difference between, look at the Tennessee game. Well, Nico couldn't handle pressure at all, and he struggled. Will Howard could. He played great. That matters a lot in college football. Austin Siereveld is next up here. He is drawing some praise from Ryan Day as the Buckeyes try to figure out what his position ends up being. Here's what Ryan Day had to say. I think Austin had a very good spring. He's been playing multiple positions. I think he's a true swing player, can do both guard and tackle. And he's shown to be able to do that. I think part of that is being able to handle it mentally, making that jump. He's doing a good job of that. We talked about it in here before. Having a primary position than having a secondary position is something that we focused on. So he's getting to the point where he can either start at guard or at tackle. That's great. And position flex matters. It is a key part for a lot of teams and players and everything. I would like to settle on a position. It's great that he can be your number 2 right tackle and number 2 left and your number 1 guard or whatever. I want to know what that number 1 spot is. And ideally, I would like to have the presumed starting 5, or at least this is where you're mainly competing to start by the end of the spring. I am a believer. The Buckeyes made it work last year, shuffling out guards during the playoff run. But in general, I think even OSU would agree with this, I am a believer that consistency, stability, cohesion, chemistry, all those things matter a lot for an offensive line. And if you don't have that, it can lead to issues. Now, look, they made it work last year. They were shuffling guards. That was out of necessity and not out of, I think, an ideal scenario. So when we get to fall camp getting going, I want it to be, these are your left tackle options, your left guard, center, right guard, right tackle options, and there's not a ton of shuffling and chaos, and you can kind of get some of that stability. But early on, yeah, have the position flex. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, view from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets or, OSU tickets or hockey tickets, whatever it is, depending on, where you're able to go. A bit tough if you're in Columbus trying to go to a Guardians or Reds game. That's kind of a long trip. But whatever it is, Game Time has you covered. Get up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. The Game Time guarantee is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Now, the link and promo code are in the comments and the description of today's show. But take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use code CHATSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, the lowest price, all guaranteed. Just remember that terms do apply. Let's go to the spring game format and what's going on here for the Buckeyes, which, from what Ryan Day says, kind of sounds like there was some adjustment from what he thought they were going to do after the season. They are going to stick with the regular spring game format, where they have in years past under Ryan Day. There had been some thought to maybe it ends up being a bit lighter. Not the plan. Here's what Day had to say. We'll break up offense and defense, and the first part of that will be thud. Break it down in a second. For some of the guys who have played a lot of football. And once that happens, after a few drives, we'll get right into it, and we'll be tackling. The quarterbacks will not be live, but everybody else will be. And it'll look like a normal spring game. Coming off of last year, my initial thought was, boy, we have to take a step back in the spring. Got about a week half into spring and realized the guys who left played a lot of football. And the guys who haven't left haven't played a lot of football. It's actually become one of the most physical spring balls we ever have. Now, the thud comment is like hit and release, basically, of like, you thud them, and then you don't bring them to the ground. I had the same initial thoughts as Ryan Day, of like, you played so much football, you had a ton of time. This is a lot of football to go on because you basically played an NFL season. Now you're playing a game in April. That's probably too much. But I kind of realized the same thing Ryan Day realized. A lot of those key snap getters are gone. They're not out there anymore. You don't have the same wear and tear as, maybe it would have been last year if you had all those guys come back again. They probably would have done a lighter spring. But, like, you're replacing, like a dozen starters. Like, over a dozen. Like, you've got a lot of fresh legs, so to speak. So letting those new guys hit, the guys who haven't played a lot, that's fine with me. I actually don't have any major issues with that approach. So are you happy OSU is sticking with the regular spring game format? Y for yes, N for no? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Finally, Jeremiah Smith and what the next step is for one of the best players in all of college football. Here's what Day had to say on J.J. Smith. But for Jeremiah, it's like, how do I get that 1% better every day? And a lot of it is learning how to become a good teammate. And I encourage other guys around him to play winning football, which he does. But you're starting to see him come out of his shell a bunch. He's done some route work inside in the slot, which he was mostly outside last year. We're going to increase his route tree as time goes on. So there's a lot of things he can improve on, certainly. But getting more and more experience is part of it, but also growing into his position and his personality on the team. Hey, again, there's a leadership void. I've mentioned that before. On field, I am excited to see him more in the slot. Look, I don't know if there's a better wide receiver in football right now than in college football, I should say. There's obviously better in the NFL than Jeremiah Smith. The production was unbelievable. True freshman putting up, number one. He'd probably been the best receiver in the class if he'd been draft eligible. Like, it's just some guys, it's obvious that they're special, and that's Jeremiah Smith. Now, we will have spring game winners and losers for you. If you want that video, hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/GoBucks.